What race won the first tournament on the new patch and is thus obviously overpowered? Who qualified for GSL Season 1? And what animal is the strongest in the world? For the answer to all of these questions, stay tuned to today's episode of StarCraft Today.
StarCraft Today.
Your favorite StarCraft news show. Last week were the GSL qualifiers for Season 1, where 16 players would join the 4 players that had already qualified due to the performance in the Super Tournament number 1. These 4 players, Zaun, Dark, Maru, and Zest. Zest? Yes, Zest, the player that had to go to the military, I think for the first time in 2018, still doesn't have his called date where he needs to actually show up for the military, and thus he can continue playing tournaments. Great for us, as he gets to play another tournament, and as a Protoss lover myself, I'm obviously a very big fan of that. It is a bit odd, however, that it keeps getting announced that he's retiring, and I honestly have cried for him so many times at this point that he's gone, and I can't shed any more tears over this man. I just hope he performs well this GSL, shows a good performance. No big surprises in the 16 players that will join those initial 4. All the big dogs managed to qualify. We see a Rogue in there, we see Solar as always, Beyond, Cure, Dream, and on the Protoss side we see Trap, Classic as these absolute top dogs. One of the underdogs and one of the players that doesn't have as much experience in the GSL is going to be Nightmare, a player that has qualified before in 2017, I believe, and now has done it again. I'm looking forward to seeing his diverse playstyle and all of his all-ins in action in this new GSL format. And the GSL format is insanely cool. It's a complete switch up, something we haven't quite seen before out of the GSL. It starts as usual though, 5 groups consisting out of 4 players, and out of these groups, 2 people will advance on to the next round. But this is where the real switch up ends up happening, because these players get placed into 2 5-player round robin groups. Everyone plays each other once, and at the end of the group stage, we just add up the scores, see who's top 3. The top 3 advances on to the next round, but they all get placed in different positions. The people that get first in the group get placed immediately in a semifinals. The people that get placed second in the group will play against one another in a match, and the people that get placed third in a group will play against one another in the match. The winner between the 2 third place finishers moves on into the tournament to play the loser of the second place finishers. Okay, these 2 play against another, they play a match, and the winner of that specific match moves on to one of the semifinals. The winner of both second place finisher matches also moves on to the semifinal, and then we just have a semifinal bracket leading into a final. A cool new system that will hopefully get us lots of very important matches. I personally love round robin groups because every map matters so much. You don't actually know whether map 2 in the first series will matter or not, so you always need to play your best. It is extremely important to get the best map score possible, because just winning the series is not enough, and I really do like this this style of tournament. Now, let's have a quick look at the groups as they have already been released, and there's some spicy ones in there. And the spiciest group out of all the groups is probably immediately going to be Group A. We have Dark, Classic, DRG, and Dream. Dream is one of the Terrans that has made it into my heart and into the hearts of lots of Terran fans, I think. He's extremely diverse in his build orders. He can play a very strong, solid game as well. He's one of those Terrans that's on the rise, kind of together with Bunny. Dream and Bunny, they're just extremely good, and they're probably top 4, top 5 Terrans in the world right now. So I'm excited to see what he can perform in a group where DRG is a bit of a Terran killer at times, while Dark is an everyone killer, and Classic is just extremely solid. He's been back from the military for a while, and this is going to be the tournament to show that he still has it, that he can still make these deep runs into the big tournament. So Group A, in my opinion, is definitely going to be the group of death. Another group that I'm really looking forward to as well is Group C with Rogue, Nightmare, Beyond, and Zaun. Like I mentioned Nightmare before, he's a bit of a wild card. He can do anything. Rogue not looking too strong in ZVP recently, and as all of this will most likely be played on the new patch, I'm just curious to see what Rogue is going to bring. Will we see his standard aggressive style? Is he going to go for full out late game? Bian against Protoss sometimes looks extremely strong, sometimes look kind of weak. This is a group where big upsets could happen, or we could just see Rogue advance easily in first place and Bian perhaps get second, or Zaun get second. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Group A and C, in my opinion, look like the most fun and some of the strongest groups in this tournament so far. The first tournament played on the new patch was last Sunday. Now, not too many top players signed up, but maybe we could still get a bit of an indication of what might happen in future patches, as in the semifinals we saw Solar, Neep, MaxPax, and Kalazur. MaxPax taking out Kalazur 3-0, and Neep taking out Solar 3-2, and we had an all Protoss party in the final where, for the first time what feels in a long time, MaxPax actually kind of got bopped by another Protoss player, as Neeblet said, hey, now that the Void Ray got nerfed a little bit, which is one of the main defensive tools for MaxPax's favorite playstyle with that 1-gate expand, maybe I can actually take you down. And Neep did just that and actually ended up winning. So congrats to Neep. Protoss power there in the finals and in the tournament overall. So we'll have to wait and see how good Protoss is really going to be after this patch. This week's game of the week was a game between Clem and Denver played on Hardwire. And rather than having a late game with Lurker, we saw Denver actually opening up with Mutalisk Ling Bane, playing a very swarmy style of Zerg, continue pushing on and constantly trying to attack, trying to deal damage, and eventually even just swarming his opponent with Mass Ultralisk. An absolute banger of a game in which Denver actually took out Clem. Now, I know Denver has good ZVT. Taking out Clem in this matchup, that's no small feat. So, game of the week, and congrats to Denver for winning that one. As always, we had 3 ESL Open Cups this week as well, with a couple of surprises on the Sunday in Korea already. Cyan taking out Solar 2-0 in the semifinals, allowing for Classic versus Cyan in the finals. Classic, however, a little bit too strong, took out Cyan 3-0. Moving on over to Europe, we saw familiar faces in the European final with Clem versus MaxPax, and Clem just being too strong here. TVP of Clem looking very good, and MaxPax a little bit weaker in the matchup, could not hold a candle to Clem's play and got absolutely blasted. But MaxPax got his revenge in a Protoss field bracket on America. He decided to make it happen, and oh good lord did he make it happen, beating Trigger in the semifinals, following that up with a quick victory over Zest, who's not retired yet by the way, 3-1 victory. Now these two have traded in the past, but lately MaxPax really seems to have his number. Big performance out of the young Danish superstar, who gets a second place and a win. So this weekend's EPT Cup, goes to MaxPax. Good job, buddy. You've done it. You won the overall prize of best performer in the EPT Open Cups. Nice. This week's clip of the week is short but spicy. It's what happens when a disruptor flank goes terribly wrong and right at the same time.
He's got so many potential disruptors in the back, and there's 20. Oh my god, here we go. Disruptors on the side in a beautiful spot. One disruptor coming off, second disruptor coming off, killing some of his own stalkers.
This clip can be viewed by both Protoss and Zerg players, and for Zerg players it will feel kind of cathartic seeing Zealots blow up after a disruptor hits them. For the Protoss players, seeing a couple of Ravagers die always feels pretty good as well. That's going to be it for today's episode of StarCraft Today, but not before we discuss what the strongest land animal is. And whenever these things come up, people always discuss the dung beetle because it can push its own weight 1,500 times or something like that. It's kind of useless though, because if I were to fight a dung beetle, I'd absolutely destroy him. This guy would have no chance. Thus, he's not the strongest animal in the world. I would be stronger than him. That would make me the strongest animal. But if I were to fight an African elephant, who I believe to be the strongest animal in the world, I will not be able to win. This dude can lift 6,500 kilograms. Now, that is more than 1,000 kilos by quite a bit. And I can lift 1,000 kilos. So this must be the strongest. Now, with that new information, I bet all of you can sleep soundly tonight, knowing that there's no African elephants around to toss you around in your bed. All right, that's going to be it for this episode of StarCraft Today. Hopefully, I'll see all of you next week. I hope you had a good time. Smash the like button and hit the comments and smash the bell as well. And ciao, ciao.